What is the worst thing you've ever smelt? Decomposing human corpse. I have a strong stomach, but the smell of otter poop made me vomit on the spot sauce. Zookeeper. 2-week-old corpse when I was an EMT. Dead body. 4 days in front of an electric heater before being discovered. Had been suffering from diarrhea and sickness for days before death. I was a dumb teenager. I stumbled on a bloated horse carcass. Decided to shoot it from a few feet away with my shotgun. The smell was so rancid on top of that it kinda exploded everywhere, covering me in rotting horse innards. I wasn't allowed in the house and got sprayed off with the hose when I got home. A League of Legends player. Rotting food, which was worse than the smell of a dead body to me. My wrist after taking my watch off after 2 weeks of wearing it. A fart that came from one of my students yesterday. I'm not even kidding either. Wet rotten potatoes. Microwaved diarrhea. D's nuts, hee hee. My gym socks after a long run. Lead. I am saving that forever. When I worked at the county garbage service, we did these yearly sorting checks to see if people generally separated the garbage correctly. Which meant a group of newbies had to tear open and go through a pile of garbage bags that have been in the hot sun for 2 to 3 weeks. It was the only time in my life I've ever been happy to find that a bag was filled with used diapers. Those were the most pleasant smelling bags of the pile. The smell of cooking organ meats almost made me go vegetarian. Especially chicken gizzards. A rotten lemon. 20 snails that had been wrapped in tin foil for a day. Durian. I cooked some spaghetti and forgot to put away the leftovers. Then forgot the leftovers existed. Taking the lid off of that pot was like getting punched in the face. Dog food can that had been opened and left for so long in their packaging that they had grown maggots that had also attracted flies, and it was all trapped in the inside. A decaying body in the trunk of a car in summer. I feel like I'll remember that smell forever. Had a temp job in a mortuary for a few months. I'm not sure if this is a commonly known thing, but sometimes a body slightly exceeds the capacity of the coffin, which prevents the lid from closing. So the solution to this is a suction pipe attached to a long metal pipe that has a spiked end. It's inserted into 4 areas on the abdomen and it sucks out pretty much whatever, as long as it reduces the mass. Bear in mind that's a corpse. Generally a few days old. That's the worst thing I have ever smelled. It's been 15 years and every now and then I still get a whiff. So it firmly lodged itself into my mind. Downtown Manhattan in the weeks after 9/11. All knew what it was but nobody spoke of it. Horrific. I did an autopsy on a morbidly obese man who had fallen into a sewer pump and had been stuck in there for over a week. My dog was ill. She sleeps on the bed with me. She woke with the runs. AMD tried to get off the bed and out the door. Anyway, she runny pooped everywhere. I woke up, changed the sheets, mopped the floor, etc. I got back into bed, put my sleep apnea machine back on my head, then turned it on. Full force start-up fan blowing directly down my nose. There was shit on the intake filter, drawing the most horrendous pug shit smell right down and into my nose. I can still smell it now. After the hardest wash ever. I still have some PTSD putting the mask on every night. I check it every time. I work on a vet diagnostic lab and we got goose eggs from a farmer a few years ago. Via mail. In the summer. Not cooled. 2 weeks delayed. Death and durians. Friends and I did the surströmming challenge. That was fucking awful. Back in college, my roommate had a pet lizard. One day, while we were out at class, The lizard puked up the mouse it had been eating. The dead mouse baked under the lizard's heat lamp all day. When I got back to our room, the smell assaulted my nose like a slap in the face. I cleaned up the dead mouse, but the smell still lingered. Fortunately, there were some stoners on our hall that had plenty of air freshener and incense. My dad pulling out dead lambs from their mum. My catering buddy left a pig's head in the oven of our catering trailer. We cleaned everything except the oven and left it for the rest of the summer. 2 months. Opening that oven was like a gateway to hell. Extremely obese. Like 500 plus pounds. Dead body that had been decaying in a house with no AC in the summer in South Alabama. He kinda melted into the floor. My dad had a brain aneurysm with only a 10% success chance if he went through surgery. So my mom decided to go with the other option and see if his body would somehow do its magic. It didn't. He was essentially brain dead after a few days and his body started decomposing in the hospital bed. I'll never forget that smell for the rest of my life and how mushy his hands felt. Rotting potatoes. Smell from kitchen trash. Dead dog in a flooded basement. Thought it was a towel. Grabbed it and meat slid off the bones. It was terrible.